Hi, I'm Ralph Boehm, one of your state representatives from Litchfield. I'm a 7-term state representative. I'm on the Education Committee now. It's my 6th term there. I am an assistant majority leader, and previously I was a member of the Home Education Advisory Council and the New England Board of Higher Education. And the purpose of why we're doing this show is to bring you up to date as what's going on in the legislature. And so you all know how to go to the NH.gov website and find out what's going on, what bills are currently in process, what bills, because we only get a week notice pretty much as to when the bills come up. So I was going to show you how to do that. But I want to start with, right now we have, for those 65 and over, you can register to get a vaccine. I did it yesterday, and I got an appointment for March 3rd, so it's not going to be instant. But right there, if you go to nh.gov, which is right here, at the very top banner there is the thing on the coronavirus information. So you can go down and vaccine registration. So I'm not going to go through that, but you can all see that and all the information on COVID. And right now, like I said, they're taking anybody over 65 can register to get the vaccine. Okay, so, but the main thing is you see on the nh.gov, we have anything you want to know about state government. We'll go to government, and we want to go to the NH state legislature, okay? And mainly we're concerned about House of Representatives, okay? And first, I mean, there's the calendar, which we'll come back to. But the thing is, it's one of the big things here is find your rep, your legislators. Okay, and we can click on that, and there's a number of ways to do it. You can just go down the whole roster to see who's there, or let's just look at Hillsborough County. Now, Hillsborough County is the largest county population-wise in the state. Remember, there are 400 representatives. Hillsborough County has 122 of them, okay, for House members. So, and here's all the towns in Hillsborough County, from Hillsborough, town of Hillsborough way up here to Pelham way over here, and New Ipswich way over here. So, and includes Manchester and Nashua. Now, for the county, all your legislators in the county are your voting people for the county. In other words, you go to deliberative session, you vote, then you go to and vote for the budget. In the county, we, the representatives, are voting for you in the county for the county budget and for other things. So rather than monthly having 122 people show up, and the county, which is in Goffstown, but we're doing it all remotely now, there are 22 people on the executive council, and I'm one of them, the previous session and this session. And we meet monthly, and there's 22 of us, and basically we go through minor things like approving transfers from in the county budget from one to another. We find out what's going on rather than having 122 people showing up every month. It's 22 of us. Some things need the whole county delegation, like voting on the budget or other things. And then we usually have meetings scheduled, usually on a Friday evening. During an executive, we usually meet on the fourth Friday of the month, like at 10 o'clock in the morning. And right now we're Zooming that. So just to let you know how the county works, okay? Now, so we can go back. So, well, just for Dickens of it, let's look at Litchfield. And you can see Litchfield divided up into 2 districts. We have District 20, which is the town of Litchfield by itself. And that includes myself and Rich LaSalle as your, and then we're sharing reps with 2 wards in Manchester, wards 8 and 9 in Manchester, and that's District 44, and that's Russ Berry and Mark McLean. Now, for those want to know, Ward 8 in Manchester is the ward that borders Litchfield, the north end. It's, you know, if you go down Corning Road, you hit a little piece of Manchester there that goes, and it basically goes from the Merrimack River to Mammoth Road, a small strip, including Goss Falls Road, includes the airport, and the Mall of New Hampshire are in Ward 8. Ward 9 is right before you get to Route 93 if you're going up Brown Ave or 3A. That's Ward 9. And that also goes from the river, but it's a further way to the river, because the river curves right there. And that goes from the river to South Willow Street, because it's along a strip of land. And that includes the high school on the east side, whatever that high school is. Memorial, is that Memorial? Yeah, that's right. West Central Memorial. So, and a few other schools in the area. I mean, even, yeah, in Ward 9. So, and includes if you're taking the shortcut to Elm Street in Manchester, you're in Ward 9 right there. The church, right when you hit 3A there, that's in Ward 9. So that's just basically what that area consists of. So that tells that. Now let's go back to, here we go up to calendars and journal and current calendar. Now this is where you can find out what is going on currently in the legislature. And so there it is, what it looks like. It gives you all the information. Now let me go back a bit, because one of the things you can look at is what I'll do is go back and pulling up, well, let's go through the roster and pull up my name. You can go this way also. There we are. And one of the things you can look at is information. Now, some people put all kinds of things up there. I keep mine short. Some people have pages of who cares. You know, but anyway, if you want to send me an email, there's my email address, or any other rep's email address, okay, and a phone number. And I would suggest if you want to send me an email on a particular bill or something, put down that you're a Litchfield, in the subject or something, the bill number and Litchfield resident, because we get email from all over, including, I've got email from France and England, like I could care less what you want, you know, but also from other states. A good example is some years ago, one of the biggest things that everybody got email on was a bill regulating the speed limit on Lake Winnipesaukee. And we got email from all across the country, because people come from all over. And I don't go there. My thing was, hey, how do you reps feel around Winnipesaukee, what the speed limit should be? So that's why I would suggest just let us know that you're a Litchfield resident if you send it, because, I mean, like I said, we get mail from all over, and I would like to do what you, the people of Litchfield, want. Not what somebody in Berlin wants or somebody in North Carolina wants. But what you can look here is that Bill sponsored this session, okay? And there it is. There's all the bills. Now, the first 4 bills here are mine that I'm the prime sponsor on. The rest I've just signed on to. And one of them is coming up this Friday in the Election Law Committee, and that's modifying the dates of the state primary and associated filing deadline. That's HB 97. And what that does quickly, it just moves the, from having the primary in September to August. Moves it up a month, because right now we're very close to the deadline the federal government has set for having the primary and the general election. The point is, if we ever have a recount after the primary, it could violate the federal law, because that's 45 days. Also moving it up, right now, we and Rhode Island have the latest primary. Their primary is the same as ours. Massachusetts is just a week before ours. The problem is only, what I've heard is like 25% of the military vote. One of the problems is timing, especially if you're overseas, 45 days. So this moves it up a month to August for the primary. There are 16 other states that have their primary in August, so not by ourselves. So, and I think that makes it better. There's another bill coming up to move the primary to June. I don't like that, because that gives a 5-month election cycle. I mean, and it moves the primary, the filing for the primary to March. So, which means, wait a minute, we're doing town elections, and Litchfield we're doing in March. For example, I think in Merrimack they're doing it in April. They have a different calendar. So, I mean, we don't need that long of a time for people, you know. So that bill is coming up this Friday, and I'll show you that when we get there. And then all the other bills, I'm not going to go through each one, but there are other bills that I've just co-signed onto. But you can look at them and then look at the calendar and see when they're, and also if we come back to here and come back further, one of the things is here, find the bill. So I can put in, for example, HB 97 and do the search. And there it is. And then I can bring up the actual bill itself. And that's the text of the bill. Okay? So, like I said, that bill is coming up this Friday, and what we can look at that is we can go to the calendar and actually see that. Okay, so we'll go back to here again, and current calendar, and we'll look at the current calendar, which comes out Thursdays evenings. So Friday, it's all there. And this is the current calendar, and general information on top, and then talk about House deadlines, and then committee meetings. Normally, we usually meet Tuesdays through Thursdays, but now with everything being virtual, a lot of we can only meet so many days, because we as reps can go up to the, like on Tuesday, we're having an education committee, and I'll be going up, but only committee meeting members can be at the meeting. And they're using double rooms, they have big ventilators inside the room to keep the air clean and whatnot, but everything else is gonna have to be virtual. In other words, so in here, I'll show you how you can dial in or zoom in and testify on the bill and how to go about it. So that's all that information is in here on how to do that. So, for example, let's go to the Tuesday, January 26th, and there's the Education Committee. We're hearing HB 432, relative to offenses that prevent employment in the school, and that's, in other words, background checks on teachers or other employees. Relative to state aid to school districts with special ed. Just a lot of this stuff is changing language in the bill. Now, if you see the word FN, that means it's got to go to finance. The Education Committee is a policy committee. We're going to vote on what's good policy-wise. Then if a bill goes to a second committee, like a finance committee, finance then got to figure out can we pay for it? How do we pay for it? And that's also ways and means. And if it's going to be too expensive, even though we might pass it, the House passes it, the finance may say no, and then it could fail. So to the deadlines, we have to do these early bills, what we call early bills, that are going to a second committee first. So that's how that works. So you can go to any of these schools, and then down here it says to join the webinar, right there, it tells you how to do it. Or telephone, you can dial for higher quality. And what you can also do is, one thing I'll go back to, is written testimony. What you can do is send to the members of the House Education Committee or any of these other committees, finance and whatnot, what your opinion is on a bill. So you don't have to come up to testify. You can send us all your emails on what to do, okay? So that's what's happening and how to go about doing it. I think they also have, and where we see, other than May 10, by using an alternative and whatnot. And then what new this year, unless sometimes we've done it in the past, but due to the fact that we have to hear, in the House Education Committee, we have 71 bills that we have to bring forward. Unlike U.S. Congress, where a committee can sit on the bill or the majority leader can stop a bill, all bills in the New Hampshire House have to, and the Senate also, go before the whole House. So in other words, all bills have to come out of a committee with some recommendation. Usually ought to pass, OTP, ITL, inexpedient to legislate, and the first year they can be retained. But all those motions go to the floor, which is all 400 or how many there are at the time, to vote on those recommendations. They can overturn the recommendation, they say no, or if we put in a bill that says inexpedient to legislate, they can vote no on it, then they have to take a second vote for it ought to pass. They can also vote to lay it on the table, but every bill has got to be voted on, and that's the point I want to get across. I mean, no bills can be stuck under the table. Retained, that means that some bills you might need more work on. So they can be retained over the summer, work on it over the summer, but then have to come back the following year. Okay, everything's got to be done in those 2 years. After the second year, bills can be veteran retained, be voted on for interim study. In other words, if some bill is really hard and whatnot, and maybe take more time, and it's what I call it. It's giving a bill it's basically you're killing the bill, but you're not saying no, we don't like it at all. What the committee does, they can look at the bill and recommend it for the following session, for the following term. But that's immaterial because any bill can be brought up for the following term. And we've got a few of them this year. Bills that were killed 2 years in a row are back again this year. So, and they'll probably get killed again. But some people, they're persistent, hope things maybe change, maybe people will change. But those things happen. But anyway, all bills have to be heard, and that's the point I want to get across. So so you can look at any of these bills, and just for the dickens of it, let's bring up HB 432, and that's the first bill. Relative to offenses that prevent employment in the school. And if you look at it at the very beginning, it tells you who's put in that bill. Okay, Representative Mullen, she's from Bedford. Allen from, they give the Hillsborough district number. anyway, but this is a bipartisan bill. There are Democrats and Republicans doing this bill. So one of the problems we have with current law on this is out of state. It's hard to do a background check for out of state. And what's happening too is sometimes people will do a background check in New Hampshire, pass that, and then not even want to work in New Hampshire. They'll go to another state and say they passed the background check in New Hampshire, and they might not pass the background check in the state they were going through. So this bill fixes some problems with current law. So that's that issue, and that's what you can do. Now, in future meetings, what I'll do, like I believe our next meeting, I'm going to have Rich LaSalle come in. He's on municipal and county. But before we do that, let's go through something here. If we go to, again, House, got the House stuff here, and committees, standing committees. Now these are all your committees we have: Children and Family Law, Commerce and Consumer Affairs, Criminal Justice and Public Safety, Education, Election Law, Employment and Agriculture, ED and Ag, Executive Departments, Administration, Finance. And the finance is broken down into divisions because different committees and department heads. Fish and Game, Health and Human Resources. Fish and Game, I'm wondering, if you've seen the show Northwood's Law on the Animal Planet, I'm wondering, do we in the state get any money from that being on television? It's a question I've, Judiciary. Mark McLean, who is one of the reps from our District 44, which includes Manchester, he's the vice chairman on Judiciary. Municipal and county government, Rich LaSalle is on that committee. I believe election law, Ross Berry is on election law. But if we go to the education committee, one of the things here, like I mentioned about if you have a question on a bill or you want to testify on a bill, you can send testimony by email. And there's the committee, email all committee members right there, okay? So you click on that on your email and it'll open up your email, and then you can send your testimony, a Word document or anything, you know, or just type it out. And here's all the members of the Education Committee. Myself, James Allard, Alicia Lecca, she's from Hudson. Michael Moffett, I don't know, Deborah Hobson, she's from East Hampton. And Mel Miley, he's from Hopkinton. David Luno's from Hopkinton. Patricia Cornell, she's from Manchester. And the Sue Mullen, like I said, is from Bedford. And you can look up these people, for example, just for the dickens of it. I pull up my name, you remember seeing that. If I pull up, we'll say Deborah Hobson, she lives in East Kingston, like I said, and you can see what bills she's done. And also, later on in the year, you can see what our voting record is. Now, on voting, there are three ways of voting in the House. It's voice vote, as usual. You know, nobody knows how you voted. Then there's a division vote. In other words, usually what happens if the speaker can't determine who yelled the loudest, people yelling no always yell louder than the people yell aye. So all in the favor say aye, and then all in favor say no. But if you're way up high like the speaker is, you can determine if everything's coming from one section. Yeah. But then somebody can yell for a division, and then everybody got keypads on their chair, which they can press yes or no on. And you got 30 seconds to vote. That's not recorded. It's just the count is recorded. And then somebody can call for a roll call vote, and that is, everything's recorded. Now, how you voted, yes or no. And that's, when you look up the voting record, that's what you can see. But the thing is, like last year, you can go look at that. And yeah, so that's what you can look at there. Science, technology. Next year there's going to be a special committee on redistricting. That'll get filled after this year is over because we don't have the numbers yet from the Census Bureau. Okay. Also, yeah, just want to quickly bring that up, is how the House is redistricted, or the House is redistricted. There are 400 members in the House. They take the population, will say like 1.2 million, I think something like that. Divide that by 400, and I think it's close to 3,200 people per rep. Litchfield has, what, 8,200 people are in that ballpark. So we get 6,400. There's a little bit left over. So that's what happened when we have the 2 wards in Manchester. They had a little bit left over. So they take those leftovers, and that's 2 more reps. So that's how that happens. They call floterials. So that's how that will happen coming next year. So hopefully that gives you some idea of what we're doing. And like I said, in the future show, I'll have Rich LaSalle's going over what's in municipal and county and whatnot, and we'll go over some more bills as they're coming up. So like I said, you have a way of letting us know what you think on a bill. I'm not going to try to push what I'm doing, what my bills are. I mean, but I'm just saying what they are. We're not going to be a discussion thing. But also, if you want to be interested in a bill, send me an email about, hey, could you cover this bill? Something like that. And we'll try to do that before it comes up. So with that, I want to thank you for tuning in. And hopefully, be on YouTube and also be on your cable channel. So let us know. Thank you.